Welcome to Seize the Gap Fantasy Football. I'm Jamie G. He's Magnum Mills, and we're helping you seize the gap so that you can stop being so inefficient. We're continuing our divisional round coverage here with the two Sunday games.
Yes, we are. Thank you for continuing to check out Seize the Gap. We greatly appreciate it. You can find our content wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube. Find us on social media at Seize the Gap FF and on the web at seizethegapff.com. Simple and easy to remember, just like the flaps, FLAPS. Follow, like, and please subscribe. If you had fun, please remember to hit the thumb. And please remember that we are not affiliated with Draftkings or the Draftkings Sportsbook, but that's where we're getting our odds and wagers from. Everything is accurate as of January 14th, 2026.
As always, we got to start out with the tail of the tape, starting with the 3 p.m. game on ESPN or ABC.
They are simulcasting this one. We have the 12 and 5 Houston Texans traveling to New England to face the 14 and 3 Patriots. Currently, the Texans are 3-point road underdogs plus 145 on the money line. Patriots are favored by 3 points at home, minus 175 on the money line. Game total is 40.5 points. This one did just tick down to that, so the over is currently getting the most juiced, minus 115. Looks like this could be another cold game, just like the Saturday games. Looking at temperatures in the low to mid 30s, winds 5 to 10 miles an hour with a 25% chance of snow. For the Texans, wide receiver Nico Collins is very questionable as he is in the concussion protocol. For the Patriots, linebacker edge rusher Harold Landry III is questionable, as is cornerback Christian Gonzalez, who is also in the concussion protocol. For the second game on Sunday, kicking off at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, watch it on NBC and Peacock. We have the 12 and 5 Los Angeles Rams traveling to Chicago to face the 11 and 6 Bears. The Rams are currently 3.5 point road favorites, minus 198 on the money line, while the Bears are 3.5 point home dogs, minus 175. Game total is 48.5 points. This could be a ludicrously cold one when you factor in the wind chill. Temperatures in the mid teens, winds 10 to 20 miles an hour, could be gusting up to 35 miles per hour, 20% chance of snow on top of that. For the Rams, tight end Terrence Ferguson is questionable, but he practiced in full on Wednesday, so he could be out there. They're also very hopeful about guard Kevin Dotson, hoping he gets back this week after missing the wild card matchup. For the Bears, offensive tackle Aze Trapillo is questionable. For the Bears, offensive tackle Ozzie Trapillo and linebacker TJ Edwards are both out for the season, while safety CJ Garner Johnson is questionable. Jamie G, this is an interesting matchup. I mean, how much of the Texans' victory can you actually attribute to their offense? I mean, CJ Stroud fumbled 5 times. Do you have any real concerns here about the Texans' offense? I mean, New England, it's not like the Chargers had their full offensive line or anything, but that New England defense has played very well the last couple of weeks.
They did, and the interesting thing about it is they were bringing pressure basically all game, rushing five or six all game, and the Chargers had no answer for it. I've never seen an offense just sit there and take that beating. No audibles, no adjustments, no, changing plays at the line of scrimmage. It was just line up, let them bring five or six and get creamed. It was really crazy. I am worried about this Houston offense because it hasn't been very good throughout the course of the season here. And what the display from CJ Stroud was absolutely atrocious on Monday Night Football. Short week here for them. I don't think they'll have Nico Collins. With the concussion that he suffered in that game, tough to get cleared in 6 days. It's possible, but my guess is that he doesn't play. I know Kirk stepped up and everything, but man, I'm worried about this offense. I could see New England having similar game plan here and just bringing a ton of pressure and waiting for them to figure it out, which we'll see if they do.
Feels incredibly unlikely that we get another monster Christian Kirk game like that. Who do you think on the Texans offense could step up? I mean, does it pretty much have to be Woody Marks? Maybe we saw him hit the 100 yards and a touchdown last week. Do they really just absolutely need him to come through? Or do you have any confidence in, Jaden Higgins or Dalton Schultz or any of these other guys to come through?
Yeah, I think maybe like the critical play here and there, but I think if they're going to do it, they're going to need some big explosives down the field. And for me, that in the last game that was Christian Kirk. I think Jaden Higgins is a guy that can get it done, and kind of those spine breakers from Woody Marks, I think is key too. I mean, give him a little bit of credit. I think he's really physical, running between the tackles, hard guy to bring down. Good vision, good balance, that kind of stuff. I think if they're gonna get going offensively, they're gonna need some of those explosives down the field, and they're gonna need Woody Marks to be able to kind of move the chains and have those back-breaking, gains on third down or in the red zone.
On the other side of the ball here, well, at least for the Patriots offense, they've been getting things going here with a two-headed monster that's really been led by Ramondre Stevenson. If the Texans can shut down the run, do you think the Patriots have enough in their bag to put up enough points on the Houston Texans defense that has been, absolutely suffocating at times?
Yeah, I worry about that too. I mean, I know it was Campbell's first game back at left tackle after coming back, and I know he played okay, but honestly, he was getting pushed back into the quarterback most of the night, and it affected some plays with Drake May, and it kept that game closer. In the especially in the first half of the game there. So a little bit worried about their ability to hold up here against what I think is the top defense in the league.
Yeah, they don't have any player I think you could just beat anybody. If they do, it's Travion Henderson, and they're not going to use him in that fashion. So, I can definitely see a scenario here where even if the Texans offense doesn't come through, they do just enough to help the defense push them over the top. What kind of credence do you give to the idea here? Like, this is the third go round for the Texans here. They've won in the wild card round for the third time. They've lost the previous 2 years in the divisional round. Does this feel like one of those spots where it's like preordained where they take the next step? Or could they legitimately lose for the third time here in the divisional round, which would be kind of heartbreaking, right?
It's the playoffs. I definitely think they can. I mean, neither of these two teams are totally complete. Um, if Houston's going to win, it's going to be on the backs of their defense and their ability to basically limit New England's offense from doing anything. And I think New England, they've lacked a pass rush all year. They've got to kind of create it through scheme, which they did very effectively against the Chargers. If they can do that they're going to have a chance to maybe steal some possessions too. I mean, let's face it, man. If Pittsburgh's offense could get anything going, we're probably having a different conversation right now based on those three turnovers.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, CJ Stroud, at one point you would have thought he was trying to literally give the game away. So yeah, you can only win what's out there. So I think this could be a very interesting matchup in the playoffs. I tend to defer to great defense. So especially when you have a Patriots team, a lot of these guys kind of making their first foray into playoff football, and I think I'm more willing than usual to take the road dog here. I don't know if that's a particularly bold take, so let's get a little bit bolder here. Let's put a little hot fire, a hot prediction, a bold take. Jamie G, I'm saying this is a great game for the kickers. I'm saying the kickers combined for at least 6 field goals. The quarterbacks turn it over multiple times each, so we're talking like 4 or more turnovers. Absolute ugly game dominated by defense and kickers. I don't know if that's hot, but I'm saying it's to a crazy degree. How about yourself, man? Spit a little hot fire here for this one.
Yeah, Mills, I'm going to say under 20 total points scored in the entire game. I don't think either team, gets more than 10 or 12 points here. So I think under 2 touchdowns each. I'm going to go ahead and say under 20 total for the entire game.
That's perfect. You can get 6 field goals under 20 points. So we're there. We are simpatico on this one. Let's see if we're simpatico for our vulture men here. Random creeper type touchdown scorers. You know what? I feel like the Texans are, for some reason, they're going to feel like they need to get the old man a touchdown here. It just feels right. I'm going to go with Nick Chubb plus 850. Backup running backs, backup tight ends are usually one of the better ways to attack this. So I don't mind getting a Chubb here at plus 850. Jamie G, how about yourself? Who's your vulture man here for the early game on Sunday?
Well, Mills, I love the third, right? I love the third. So I'm going with the Efton Chisholm the third. That's right. EC3 plus 1400. They've been incorporating him, scheming him. He just feels like a Josh McDaniels guy. I don't know how long it's going to take, but eventually he's going to be way more involved in this offense. And I could see him getting a look here, getting a schemed up opportunity in the red zone. Give me Efton Chisholm the third.
The only crazy thing about this is that this guy's not a professional golfer, right? Like that
Yeah,
is a
it's a golf
golfer
name.
name if I've ever heard one. Like Efton Chisholm the third. I'm surprised he doesn't own his own country club in Scotland or something. Great name. Great name. Let's move on to the nightcapper here. This could be a game where weather has a big impact. Jamie G, you've talked about it a little bit in some of the other stuff here. What's your level of concern with the Los Angeles-based Rams and Matthew Stafford coming into Soldier Field for what could be theoretically the coldest game in Bears history?
I think it makes for excellent television here. There's a lot of talk around this. Just think about that. The coldest game in Soldier Field history. We're talking about 100 years of playing football in Chicago. And there's been plenty of games played this late in the year there. So it's a little surprising. I mean, that's really freaking cold. I know there'll be some good chicken soup broth on the sidelines and everything else, but the storyline here for me is really Matthew Stafford and his inability to win games in the cold. He's 1-9, anything under 40 degrees. I don't know how much there is to that. I don't know if we should bet on it or against it or whatever the case, but it's certainly something.
Yeah, this is one of those cases too where you're looking at a huge wind chill because the winds are going to be very prevalent. So it could definitely be an impact to the deep passing game, to longer field goals and force us into more of a kind of like defense and rushing affair. It does seem like Vegas thinks that we're going to get maybe the over in this one. You're going to get some points scored. I mean, both of these teams have kind of been the epitome of hanging around, getting it done late. The Bears almost historically so. Do you think this is just like it is what it is? Like when the Chiefs are winning all those close games, if the Bears keep it within a touchdown, they get the ball, 2 minutes left, a couple of timeouts, you just feel like they're going to get it done once again?
I mean, they've been doing it all year. They've been doing it all year, and at home, it just feels like they probably will, right? I mean, I think for the Rams to win this game, I think they got to go up by, two possessions late in the game.
I mean, it's almost one of those things, right? If you are a fan of either the Bears or the Rams, you almost want the other team to like kick a field goal to go up by four with 2 minutes left and you get the ball back with all your timeouts or something, right? Because you have to, if you're a fan of either team, I know the Rams are definitely a better defense, but it just feels like both of these teams have managed to produce so much in this position that I feel like it just might happen again. I guess the main thing is, do you think the Bears will go all out, just sell out to stop Puka Nacua?
I think they'll want to, but I don't think they can just because of, Devontae Adams and some of the other options that they have in this offense. And, they've got some players in that back end, but I don't know that if they completely take that away, it's going to leave a ton of openings in the middle of the field here for the tight ends, for Devontae Adams. And I just think you're really going to, it's also going to open up some stuff in the run game. I just think it really weakens that defense. So I think they'll want to, but I don't know if they really can.
Yeah, you have to pick your poison a little bit, which is why he's been so successful. He's a great wide receiver, don't get me wrong. But I'm old enough to remember, what was it when the Steve Smith Panthers, when was it the Seahawks? They literally just triple teamed him and like just there, like literally triple teamed him to the point it was absolutely ridiculous. I think at this point, that's probably what it would take to stop Puka. And at that point, no matter how cold it is, I would expect Stafford to be able to take advantage here. For the Bears offense, we've seen the two-headed running back, rookie tight end Colston Loveland has actually been on fire recently. Do you think he's kind of the guy who keeps it up, keeps carrying the offense, or outside of him, who steps up? Odunze is back. You have DJ Moore, Luther Burden. You got both running backs. If someone's going to step up on the Bears, it winds up being a little bit of a shootout. Who do you think it is?
Yeah, I think it's going to have to be by committee here. I love what Colston Loveland did last week. I think I mean, that was just really impressive. Over 100 yards, It was kind of his coming out party. I don't know that he's going to be able to do that type of production again. One guy that I keep an eye on, I know Odunze's kind of getting his sea legs back underneath him, but I really like, I love the thirds, Mills. I love Luther Burden the third. I think he's an outstanding wide receiver. His ability to separate, how he runs his routes, getting in and out of breaks. I really think he's going to get some one-on-one opportunities, and that's where they're going to have to take advantage.
Yeah, that's my guy, dude. I am a huge fan of Luther Burden the third, but Colson Loveland been absolutely on fire. I didn't even believe it. I'm just looking, but damn, the last 3 games in a row, 20 plus DraftKings points. Like he has been a very, very involved part of the offense. I think like 8, 6, and 10 targets over the last three, leading the team in that manner. So very excited about Colson Loveland, especially because there were a couple leagues where I drafted him over Tyler Warren, and that felt like, oh boy, I really messed that one up. And now I'm feeling like, all right, at least they're more on equal footing. So not feeling as bad about that. Let's see if we feel bad about our hot fire here. We need to have a couple of bold takes, hot predictions before we move on. Jamie G, I'm just going with the Bears are going to lean into the rushing attack here. When it's a cold one, I'm going to say DeAndre Swift, Kyle Monangai combined for 200 or more scrimmage yards, multiple touchdowns. So the Bears lean into the running backs, the rushing offense. What do you have here for a hot prediction in a very cold game?
Mills, it's a guy named Menengai. Gotta love it. I'm doing the same thing, but on the opposite side of the ball here. We don't normally intend to be on opposite ends here, but it is hot prediction, bold take here, so we'll allow it. I'm gonna say the Rams lean on their run game with Kyron Williams and Blake Corum, and they rush for 200 plus yards.
Who says that can't happen? Like they could both happen,
They
especially in a
could both
game this
happen.
cold. That could
Oh
totally
yeah.
happen. So I feel like those are both legitimate, still in play, but maybe there's not that many touchdowns. Maybe there's a ton. We still got to try to find a vulture man here. Random creeper touchdown scorer. Jamie G, I'm just going with a very specific thing. The Chicago Bears are going to get a return touchdown. The Rams special teams has been their Achilles heel this season. Devin Duvernay is one of the better returners in the league, so he's plus 1,700 on the anytime. I'm going with him to be my anytime touchdown scorer. He could get a target, but I'm pretty much banking it on being a return touchdown. How about yourself, man? This is the final game of the divisional round. Who's your vulture man?
Yeah, I got to go with Durham Smythe, another golfer type name here. You think it's going to be one of the tight ends that Chicago has, either Cole Kmet or Colston Loveland with the big game last week. No, 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 no. No, it's going to go to Durham Smythe.
Nice. I think is he one of those like is it like the European Smith?
It might be. I
Yeah, he's
like
like a
Smythe
Euro
here.
Smith, I believe, like the Saints kicker, right?
Yeah, I really like Durham Smythe as a name, plus 1,600 odds here. He could be a professional golfer with that name.
He'd be the mighty Smythe if it was pronounced that way. Go ahead and open up your DraftKings app because it's time for some Down with the King. Jamie G had to bounce, but I have his picks and whatnot. I'm going to try to help you out with some DraftKings picks for the Showdown contest, starting with the early matchup here between the Texans and Patriots. Need to figure out who you're going to play at captain here. In this one, especially if you're playing in a smaller format, a cash game head to head, double up, small tournament, something like that. Don't overthink it. Play Drake May at captain, 16,800. He's only had 30 or more DraftKings points once, but nobody else on this slate comes close to offering his combination of floor and ceiling. So you got to do what you got to do. You could certainly play him as your captain in a large field tournament, but he will be both the most expensive option and the most owned option. So I always like to try to pivot in a larger field tournament in that case. So here, I think your next best option is to go with the Texans rookie running back Woody Mark series 13,500. I think the Texans offense is going to have to lean on him, especially if there is no Nico Collins here. So really like Woody Marks this week, and I think it's the first time, despite the fact he hasn't shown a tremendous ceiling, that I feel at least a little bit comfortable playing him in your captain spot. Ramondre Stevenson has been the best New England Patriots running back. He is $12,000 flat in your captain spot, at least 15 DraftKings points in each of his last 4 games, and he's mixed in performances with 27 and 38 DraftKings points during that stretch. So fairly impressive. I don't know that I'm going to go back to the well with him against a great Houston Texans defense, but it's kind of crazy. I think he might actually be a better play than Travion Henderson at this point, which is literally wild given my evaluation of their situation coming into the season. The Texans kicker, Kaimi Fairbairn, is one of the rare kickers you could consider in your captain spot. He is 7,200. He has 4 games this season with 18 or more DraftKings points. So even at 7,200, he has the capability to 3x his salary. And then you have the Houston's DST, the Houston Texans Defense Special Teams Unit, 6,600 in your captain spot. They've had at least 7 DraftKings points in each of the last 6 games. They had 27 against Pittsburgh last week. Yes, they scored 2 touchdowns, but they are a team that can wreck people. Remember what they did against the Bills and Josh Allen on Thursday Night Football. So if you want to find a way to fit everybody else in there, playing the Houston Texans DST at 6,600 is certainly a viable route. We don't have a Josh Allen or Puka Nakua here taking up $18,000 in our captain spot, but we're still going to need some value to come on down. So let's have another round of the Price is Nice. Try to find some value plays for y'all. Cheapest guy I can see myself getting to is Cade Stover, the backup tight end for the Texans. He's 1,600, at least 2 targets in 4 of his last 5 games. He is pretty much touchdown or bust, but doesn't need to do a lot for you at 1,600. Then you have Xavier Hutchinson, $3,400 for the Texans wide receiver. Seems to be slightly ahead of Jalen Noel in the pecking order right now, as much as that pains me. Could see an increased role if we have no Nico Collins or if he is limited. So don't hate it at 3,400, but he's probably an exclusive stacking option. I don't know that I would play him naked if I'm not playing CJ Stroud. Kyle Williams is probably in a similar boat. The Patriots wide receiver is 3,800. Willing to play him with Drake May if you need a stacking option in a tournament. Not going to see a ton of targets, but usually does get decent quality of targets in that they are usually deep shots or in the end zone. So he's got that going for him, which is nice. The Houston Texans DST is 4,400. I've already spoken about them extensively. They are a fantastic option here. The Patriots DST is actually more expensive at 4,800. They've been on fire lately, 12 and 15 DraftKings points in their last 2 games. They could certainly do a lot of damage here against the Texans offense that fumbled 5 times last week. So you could certainly consider going with an uglier build that involves multiple defenses here. You could maybe even work in the kickers. Kaimi Fairbairn, the Texans kicker, is 4,800. Again, been on absolute fire this season. For the Patriots, Andy Borgalis, the rookie kicker, is 5K flat. He's had exactly 10 DraftKings points in 3 of his last 4 games. 4 games this season with 13 or more DraftKings points. So decent enough ceiling here. Certainly has a chance to at least 2x, if not 3x his salary. We need to fill out the rest of the flex, and if you're not playing them in your captain spot, you certainly want exposure to Drake May at 11,200 and Woody Marks at 9K flat in your flex. I will probably have both of them in the vast majority of my lineups, despite the format on this slate. You have CJ Stroud at 10,200. Decent enough. I don't like him as a captain play here for the most part because of his lack of ceiling, but he's also pretty cheap to stack and a nice run back option, so don't mind him in the flex at 10,200. If Nico Collins plays, he will be a very interesting option at 10,000 in your flex. Probably a little thin to talk about him as captain because I don't expect him to play, but if he is out there, you could certainly do worse because you will pick up very little ownership. Then you have the Patriots wide receivers and tight ends here. Stephon Diggs is 8,800. Hunter Henry 7K flat. Kayshon Boutte 6,400. I don't know that I want to double stack May with 2 of these guys, so it probably comes down to preference. I don't love Diggs or Boutte here. I would take one of those two if you had to stack 2 of the 3 and play them with Henry. It's been a little bit easier to attack this Texans off or to attack this Texans defense via the tight end, and we've seen Henry have multiple touchdown upside. Stephon Diggs has the playoff experience. Don't love any of them. I guess if I was going to play a pair in a tournament, I guess it would be Hunter Henry and Boutte. If you were going to go for one in a cash game, I guess it would be Henry. And then if you're going to play one in a single entry tournament or play a combination, maybe Diggs and Henry. But again, you have to be stacking them up with Drake May. Don't know that I'm getting to any of them naked if I was going to. I guess it would probably be Booty, just because he does have the big play, deep shot potential here. And then you have the other options for the Texans. Rookie wide receiver Jaden Higgins is 7,200. Christian Kirk had the monster last week. He's 6,200. And then Dalton Schultz, the tight end, 5,600. I might actually lean towards Dalton Schultz here. Hasn't had the highest of ceilings, but the Patriots have been a little bit susceptible to opposing tight ends. Schultz is almost 1,600 cheaper, exactly 1,600 cheaper, in fact, than Higgins. I think a lot of people are going to flock to Kirk after his performance last week, which will boost up his ownership more than I'm looking for. So I think it's probably down to either Higgins or Schultz. I love Jaden Higgins, own him in a ton of dynasty leagues, but if I'm picking between these three, I think it's really Schultz here, especially if you're going to stack him up with CJ Stroud. Let's conclude our first game discussion here by packing a stack in the back of the ack, a little bit of a mini stack to get you going in your showdown contest lineup building. At captain, going to go with the Patriots quarterback Drake May. No big surprise there at 16,800. Going to run it back with a couple of Texans, running back Woody Marks at 9K flat, and kicker Kaimi Fairbairn at 4,800. You know what? This could be a low scoring, ugly affair. So let's work on the other kicker here. Andy Borregales, the Patriots rookie kicker. He's 5K flat. So you got those four guys in the mini stack. Drake May, a captain, Woody Marks, Fairbairn, Borregales. Leaves you 7,200 per player to fill out the rest of your lineup. You could go with a value play and spend up. You got a couple of options in this range. So feels like a nice, comfortable stack that fits neatly into the back of your rack. The final game of the divisional round might not quite be a sequel to the Ice Bowl, but it could be one of the coldest games in terms of wind chill ever played at Soldier Field. We have the Rams traveling to face the Bears. I guess the main decision is, do we poke around and find out at captain and play Puka Nakua? The short answer is yes. He's a very viable play in all formats, but especially if you are playing in a cash game, head to head, double up, 50-50, single entry, maybe even a smaller 3 max, something like that. Pay the 18K for Puka Nakua. Been on fire, at least 26 DraftKings points in 4 of his last 5 games, with 37 and 49 point performances mixed in there. So hard to beat that combination of floor and ceiling. Obviously makes him an excellent large field tournament play as well, but he is also going to be the most owned and most expensive player. When those two things come together, I try to pivot when possible. So I'm going to go all the way down here in a lot of my large field tournament lineups and play Luther Burden the third in my captain spot. The Bears rookie wide receiver is 8,400 here. Definitely disappointed a little bit last week, but still had 7 targets, tied for second on the team. Massive big play potential. We've seen a 30 plus point ceiling already this season, especially if this game turns into a little bit of a shootout, or they could work him in on some of the big plays. It doesn't necessarily have to be downfield if we got a lot of wind. They can get him the ball out of the backfield on some slip screen, something like that. So a lot of options for Luther Burden III to do damage. Both quarterbacks are fairly interesting. Matthew Stafford is 15,900 in your captain spot, while Caleb Williams is 15,000 flat. Throughout the season, Stafford has definitely had the higher ceiling, but recently Caleb Williams has made it close. He's had at least 26 or more DraftKings points in 2 of his last 3 games. And the key for Caleb Williams is you don't have to pay up for Puka Nakua. It's tough to play Matthew Stafford with Puka and get everyone else you want. But if you're going to play Stafford without Puka, it pretty much needs to be in a large field tournament. So I think at the end of the day, I'll probably have more overall exposure to Caleb Williams, but probably especially in the captain spot. And then for the Bears, don't overlook rookie tight end Colston Loveland, 11,400 in the flex. Absolutely shocked me that he's had at least 21 DraftKings points in each of his last 3 games. His targets have been right there, 10, 13, and 15, increasing each week. He was thought to be the best tight end in the draft. He was overshadowed by Tyler Warren early. Seems like he's coming into his own here. And even if I don't have exposure to him at captain too much, I am certainly going to want to work him into all of my lineups in the flex, especially if I'm playing Caleb Williams as captain. If you're going to poke around and find out, you definitely need to find some value on this slate. So it's time for the price is nice. And the cheapest player I can see myself getting to here, barring a complete punt play, is Kanata Mumfield. He is 2,200, the Rams rookie wide receiver. One target in each of the last two games. That's kind of what you're working with. But if you want a dirt cheap stacking option with Stafford, especially on a slate that doesn't really have anything other than punt options down low, don't have a pure dumpster dive here, you could do worse than Mumfield. Terrence Ferguson, the rookie tight end, looks like he's going to play this week. He is 2,600. He is wheels up for me. I will have an absolute ton of exposure to him. The Rams used their first pick available in the draft after trading away their first round pick to the Falcons on him. Big play potential. Just missed on a couple of big plays and touchdowns over the past few weeks before he was out in the wild card round. Love him here at 2,600. He had at least 12 DraftKings points in his last two games before missing the last one with injury. Olamide Zacchaeus is an okay stacking option with Caleb Williams here. He's 2,800. Found the end zone last week. With the rest of the Bears wide receiver core healthy, he's not going to do more than three-ish targets. But again, he seems to have the trust of Caleb Williams, so works decently as a stacking option with Williams in tournaments. Colby Parkinson has been the other preferred tight end for the Rams. He is 3,600. Seems to have worked his way ahead of Tyler Higbee. At least 11 DraftKings points in 5 of his last 6 games. Caught the game-winning touchdown last week, so certainly has the trust of Matthew Stafford. And then you have the kicker, the thicker kicker, Harrison Mevis, the kicker for the Rams. 5K flat, at least 12 DraftKings points in 4 of his last 5 games. Certainly have some interest here, especially if you think it could be a lower scoring affair. Do keep an eye on the weather, though. The high wind would certainly impact him. And then you have the tough choice between the backup running backs here if you're looking for value. Kyle Monangai, the Bears rookie, is 4K flat, while the sophomore for the Rams, Blake Corum, is 4,200. I think I am more likely to play Quorum in a vacuum, but I actually might be more likely if I'm going to play two running backs from the same team to play Swift and Monangai, if that makes any sense. I certainly want exposure to both. They've generally been a little bit more of high floor options and high ceiling options recently, especially as their respective running back by committee pairs are healthy. I guess again, you want exposure to both. Slightly prefer Quorum, but if you're going to double up, if you're going to play both running backs here, for me, I might be going with the Bears. Now we need to have it all come together, figure out how we're going to fill out the rest of our flex. If you're not playing them in your captain spot, you obviously want exposure to Puka Nakua at 12K flat and Luther Burden III at 5,600 in your flex. I will have both of those players in the vast majority of my lineups. Rams running back Kyron Williams is 9,200. He's at a very consistent floor, but he's basically in a 50-50 split with Blake Corum, who's at half the price point. That makes Williams a decent tournament pivot here, as Corum will pick up a lot more ownership given their respective roles. But that's probably about it, unless I'm going to play for a full Rams blowout where I want to double stack the running backs with the defense. There's just too much of a price difference here, so I'm probably going to take my chances on Quorum. Kind of a similar thing here with DeAndre Swift. He is 8K flat. I prefer Monangai. Swift still is running a bit ahead in terms of overall touches and snaps, but Monangai is kind of drawn to but Monangai has kind of brought it up to a draw here in terms of targets, which we care about a ton on a platform like DraftKings. That's a full 1 point PPR format. So, like Monangai here more than Swift, I am more willing to play both of those Bears running backs as opposed to the other running backs. But, it kind of is what it is. You're going to have to pick and choose your spots. But the fact that Monangai has been more involved in the passing game definitely dampens my enthusiasm for Swift a little bit here. Devonta Adams is at least slightly interesting at 9K flat. Had a ceiling of about 25 points earlier in the season. Been heavily targeted in his last two, 9 targets and 13 targets in the last 2 games. The Rams certainly want to work him in more. I think he's an excellent tournament pivot if you're going to go against Puka Nakua. If you're willing to fade Puka, I think you certainly want to get some exposure to Devonta Adams. Outside of that, unless you're predicting a total Rams onslaught, maybe playing Stafford a captain and trying to stack him with Nakua and Adams, I think that's probably it. Otherwise, I think Adams is best utilized as a tournament pivot from Puka. And then I mentioned before, Colson Loveland, 7,600 in the flex, been absolutely on fire here. Going to have a lot of exposure to him. The other Bears wide receivers you could go with are Rome Odunze at 7K flat, DJ Moore at 6,600. Both of these guys are questionable. We're very close last week. I think Moore had 7 targets, Odunze at 6. So both getting right in the mix there with Burden. They're spreading the ball around a lot equally. I think Moore will pick up more ownership given his recent performance and lower price point. So I think I'm probably more inclined to go with Odunze in a tournament. If I had to play one in a cash game, it would be Luther Burden. I don't know that I would double stack him with Moore, but it is what it is. I don't mind having a little bit of exposure to Moore, but I would slightly prefer Odunze. I just think he's going to come in at a fair lower number when it comes to ownership, which is being borne out right now by the projections. Once again, we need to close things out by packing a stack in the back of the ack, a little mini stack to get your lineup building going. No surprise, Puka Nakua at captain, $18,000 flat. Running it back with the hot hand on the Bears, Colson Loveland at 7,600, and the other rookie, Luther Burden III at 6, and then running it back with the other rookie, Luther Burden III, 5,600 in the flex, and then throwing in the tight end who's been hot for the Rams, Colby Parkinson, 3,600. So you put those four together, Puka Nakua at captain, Colson Loveland, Luther Burden III, Colby Parkinson in your flex. Leaves you 7,600 per player, which is a very interesting place to live in this slate. There is not a ton of dumpster dive value, but you can get up for one more top play if you want. Kind of tough to get to Stafford, but you've got other options. But no matter what way you want to go, they should all fit comfortably in the back of your rack. We want money, lots and lots of money, and we're doing it here on Bet It, Bank It, Blow It. Please remember we're not affiliated with DraftKings or the DraftKings Sportsbook, but we're getting our odds and wagers from there. Everything is accurate as of January 14th, 2026. Here on Bet It, Bank It, Blow It, our preferred currency is the Cricket coin. In Cricket, we trust, so all of our wagers will be in the form of Cricket coins. We like to open things up with the golden grab bag. These are just some miscellaneous wagers that don't fit neatly into anything else we're doing, but we like them quite a bit. Jamie G has 2 offerings for the grab bag. First up, he has Matthew Stafford not getting it done in the tough condition. He's got Matthew Stafford under 266.5 passing yards, so 100 coins on that at minus 113 brings back about 188 cricket coins. Maybe it's spite, maybe it's not. For his other grab bag option here, Jamie G is going with 100 cricket coins on Stefon Diggs to have under 49.5 receiving yards, minus 112 against the Texans. Can't really blame him there. The Texans have been a daunting matchup for opposing wide receivers. 100 coins on Diggs under 49.5 brings back about 189 coins. For my 2 grab bag offerings, I'm going to try to keep it fairly simple. First up, I'm going to go with the kicker. Give me Kaimi Fairbairn to have 2 or more made field goals for the Texans at New England. 100 coins at minus 187. Not the greatest odds, but still brings back about 153 coins. So that's a decent little profit for us all. Next up in the nightcap, we're going to put 100 cricket coins on a combo rushing yard prop. Give me Kyle Monangai and Blake Corum to combine for over 86.5 rushing yards, minus 115. So 100 coins to bring back about 187. Jamie G had to bail for a work thing, but he's generally the captain of the tees. You know my tees. You know his tees. Haven't had the greatest success this season, but we are sticking at it. Jamie G's just going to go with a little guy here this week. He has a 2-leg, 6-point teaser at minus 135 as offered by the DraftKings Sportsbook. Leg number 1, he has Houston and New England under 46.5. And leg number 2, he has Dub Bears, Chicago Bears plus 9.5 versus the Rams. So you put those 2 legs in the 6-point teaser at odds of minus 135. A 100 coin wager brings back about 174 coins. Teasers are fun and they can be a tool of the true degenerate, but here we are most interested in the process of descending into degeneracy. We call it the 3 degrees of degeneracy. The first degree of degeneracy is something we call the flounder in honor of Flounder from Animal House, just dipping our toe into the waters of degeneracy. 100 coins here, 100 cricket coins on over 2.5 turnovers in the Houston at New England game. That's minus 140. So 100 coins to bring back about 171. Just looking for kind of an ugly defensive driven battle here, so makes sense it could be turnover filled. Degree number two is the Barney in honor of Barney Gumble, our favorite degenerate down at Moe's Tavern. He's got 50 cricket coins, and we're putting him on Kaimi Fairbairn to kick not one, not two, but three or more field goals. Must make them all. So Kaimi Fairbairn, three or more field goals made. 50 cricket coins at plus 169 brings you back about 135 cricket coins. And then finally, the third degree of degeneracy, we have the cricket in honor of Crickety Cricket, living under a bridge with dogs. He's got 25 coins. He's just trying to escape the rat race, the battle that is going to dog orgies. He's getting out from under the bridge. He's got 25 coins. He's putting it on our guy, Bears rookie wide receiver Luther Burden III, to have 80 or more receiving yards. This is plus 587, so 25 coins to bring back about 172. Cricket might not be able to move out from under the bridge permanently, but he can at least afford to stream the Chili Pepper song a couple of times on Spotify. Let's keep it moving here because it's time to partay. Here on Bet It Bank and Blow It, we like to do a partay parlay style. We call it the parlay partay. You can have fun, you can win money, but you need a parlay to get in the door. This week it falls to me to give the only offering. I'm going to go with a four leg SGPX parlay. This is as available on the DraftKings Sportsbook. Once you enable the X, you can basically parlay single game parlays with whatever you like, which is very degenerate friendly. Leg number one here, give me the kicker, Kaimi Fairbairn, 2+ made field goals, minus 187. He's had at least two or more made field goals in 14 of the 16 games he's played in this season. Leg number two, going with the Patriots quarterback Drake May to have one or more interceptions, minus 106. He's had one or more interceptions in three of his last four games. So as the season has gone along, it seems like defenses are catching up a little bit. Leg number three, going with Matthew Stafford, still have 2+ passing touchdowns, minus 204. After the wild card round, he now has two or more passing touchdowns in 12 consecutive games, 16 of 18 on the season. So I would be shocked if he can't come up with that here against the Bears. And then finally, leg number four, going with the Bears rookie tight end, Colston Loveland, to keep it rolling here. Five or more receptions, that is minus 148. He's had 6, 10, and 8 receptions over his last three games. He's absolutely rolling right now, peaking at the absolute perfect time. So love him to have 5 or more receptions. So you parlay these four legs together. Kaimi Fairbairn, 2 or more made field goals. Drake May, 1+ interceptions. Matthew Stafford, 2+ passing touchdowns. And Colston Loveland, 5+ receptions. Your odds are plus 502. So a wager 100 cricket coins brings back 602 coins, which is at least enough to have a small gathering, if not an entire full on partay. As always, we have saved the best for last, our visit to the Golden Goose, provider of the golden eggs, which we pass on to you in the form of our favorite wagers for each game. Jamie G has the first offering here in the early game on Sunday, and he's just going to get his Woody on. No Woody Harrelson. He's got Woody Marks, 400 cricket coins. That's right. We go big on the Golden Goose. On Woody Marks, we have 50+ rushing yards. That's minus 163. 400 coins to bring back about 645. He hit the hundo mark last week, only needs to get halfway there this week. I'm feeling what Jamie G is putting down. For my offering on that first game, I'm just going to bang the under here. I have 400 cricket coins on Houston at New England under 40.5 points, minus 105, 400 coins to bring back about 781. I would expect this game to play out very similarly to how we saw the Chargers at Patriots game play out last week. So absolutely love the under here. Probably should have been a little bit more aggressive, but I'm just going to take the straight line. No need to go with the alternate total. And then in the nightcapper, I'm going to put my 400 coins on Puka to Puka around and find out. Puka Nakua, 100+ receiving yards, 400 coins at minus 107, bringing back almost double my money here. He's had at least 7 100-yard games this season, a couple others in the 90s, been very close, but he is absolutely rolling right now. Expect that to continue in the divisional round, win be damned. Jamie G is going to close us out here with his Golden Goose wager for the nightcapper. He's got 400 coins on the over Chicago having 20.5 points. Yeah, you thought he was going to go with the game over. No, just on the Bears to have 21 or more points. So over 20.5 points, minus 140. 400 coins to bring back about 686. Seems very probable here, especially if you think there's going to be some points scored, irregardless of the wind. He's trusting the Bears. If they're winning or trailing, more likely in the last 2 minutes, they probably get it done, right? Thanks for getting it done with us here on another episode of Seize the Gap Fantasy Football. We really appreciate you checking out the show. You can find the rest of our content wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Find us on social media at Seize the Gap FF. Same place on the web, seizethegapff.com. Simple and easy to remember, just like the flaps, FLAPS. Follow, like, and please subscribe if you had fun. Please remember to touch the thumb. And please remember that I am Magnum Mills. Jamie G was here earlier. He had to bounce, but we're very grateful you checked out the show. And we want to remind you to seize the gap so you can stop being so inefficient. We don't care if you're old. You need to seize the gap. Go Bills.